My name is John Kenyon. I'm the Executive Director of the Iowa City UNESCO City of Literature organization, and I'm so pleased to see such a wonderful crowd tonight for our inaugural, hopefully not last, Slam-A-Vision event. So I wanted to give a little bit of background about what this event is and then turn it over to the folks that actually know how to run a poetry slam. So our organization manages Iowa City's designation as a UNESCO City of Literature, and we're one of 28 so designated cities in the world. And we were the third city in the world to earn that designation. So you are in a center of literature if you weren't aware of that already. And one of the great things about being in the City of Literature is that it's really being part of a network. So that group of 28 cities, we collaborate a lot, we talk a lot about best practices and things we're doing that we can steal from one another. And so when our colleagues in Melbourne came up with this idea for the Slam-A-Vision event, we jumped at the opportunity. Now, how many folks are familiar with the Eurovision Song Contest? Wow, more than I expected, because it's not really a big deal in the United States. But our colleagues in Melbourne said, why couldn't we have a slam poetry version of the Eurovision contest and do it with the cities of literature, all the slam poets in our cities of literature? And so 11 cities of literature stepped up this first year to have events in each city. And so how this will work is that we'll have our event here, and the winner of tonight's event will then move on to be Iowa City's representative in the overall Slam-A-Vision contest. And we will have video. Our friends with City Channel 4 are helping us to film this and helping with our sound and everything else. So thanks to them. So they'll edit down a video of the winning person's performance, and then that will be submitted and posted on a website that the folks in Melbourne have put together, and we'll share that URL with everyone so you can see it. And so then you'll be able to see the videos from all 11 cities, and then we'll have a second event sometime in the next 5 or 6 weeks where we'll show all of those videos, and then we will rank the 10 cities that are not Iowa City because we can't vote for ourselves. All of those scores, no, that's a good thing. It's fairness. That's good. And all of those scores will go with the scores from the other 10 cities, and one winner will be crowned the Slam-A-Vision International Slam Poetry Champion for the year. And that event will be held at the Melbourne Writers Festival. We're hoping they'll be able to stream that so we could see it. It will be in the middle of the morning for us, but hopefully we'll have an opportunity to do that. So I just want to let you know that poets tonight will be competing ultimately with poets from Bucheon, South Korea, Edinburgh, Scotland, Heidelberg, Germany, Melbourne, Australia, Nottingham, England, Quebec City in Canada, Reykjavik, Iceland, Seattle, which is the only other city of literature in the United States, Tartu, Estonia, and Utrecht in the Netherlands. So some heady company there for our poets. All right, and so tonight's event is a partnership between the City of Literature organization and the Iowa City Poetry Slam and The Hook. And thanks very much to Linda and Caleb, who have been so helpful in getting this going. When I knew that we had to do this, I thought, I don't know how to run a poetry slam, but I know people who do. And so I was very pleased that they were willing to partner with us. So.
Thank you, everyone. This is the biggest slam we've ever had. I am so excited. I am Linda Muller, the founder of Iowa City Poetry Slam, and I am so glad to see all of you here. Thank you, poets, for coming and being willing to share your words with the rest of us. I am just going to go quickly into the official MC spiel that I have, and then we'll get started with the poets. So welcome everyone to Iowa City Poetry Slam. I'm your MC for the evening. This is an unofficial poetry slam, and it's a competition where poets will perform their own original work to be judged by 5 members picked at random from the audience. Each contestant has 3 minutes to perform their poem. It can be memorized or read from print. Judges, you will judge the poem giving equal weight to originality, content, and delivery. The score should be anywhere between 0.0 and 10.0, and that point is really important. Otherwise we end up with a lot of ties. So each poem will receive 5 scores. The highest and the lowest scores of each will be dropped out. We add those together to give the final score for that performer's piece in the round. Poets are limited to 3 minutes before points will be deducted. There's a 10-second grace period, after which a half a point is deducted for each 10 seconds over that. Judges, please remain true to your gut and do not be influenced by the audience. Judge each poet and performance by the same set of criteria. Audience, Do your best to sway the judges. Judges, ignore any protest you hear from the audience. Audience, feel free to let the judges know how you feel about the job that they're doing. Please be sure to be enthusiastic, respectful, and supportive of the poets. No booing of the poets, although you can boo the judges. It takes a lot of gumption to get up here on the stage, so don't be throwing stones.
As it turns out, the worst part about holding a candle while doused in gasoline isn't that you're about to burst into flame. It's that when people see you, they only stare. No one moves or goes to call 911 or tries to douse the flame with a bottle of water they have in their hand, which would be a terrible idea since you're doused in gasoline. No, the worst part is looking around to see the flicker of light in everyone's eyes. The brief reflection of ourselves, and all I can think about are the ways I can learn to dance even after the last ember has gone out. The way smoke waltzes with the wind, knowing that just like this brief moment we are given to rise into the air, that light will burst into a slow motion chain reaction crawling across the ground like the tide moving out, leaving vacant the space where I stood just a second before. And as quickly as it was there, the reflection will go dark. I stood there, holding the candle out in front of me, reaching for a hand, someone to walk me out of this circle of petroleum petrichor, but all you see is the flame and the anticipation of a burn. For a moment, I think someone is walking towards me, but maybe it's my ghost already left my body, understands that its skin is no longer suitable, ready to watch its life flash before my eyes, or it could be the fumes going to my head, but I feel like hope. Like, despite the dangerous spark admonishing you back, I just needed you to take it out of my hand, lick your fingers, and hear the fizzle of the idea that this was how a person burns brighter. I couldn't help but start to dream of what might happen. I could rise from the ashes, flame into phoenix, erupt into the sky like a new day across the horizon. But what if I only burned out? What if I can't come back from that? What if I drown in my own demons, these waves of ash now would be cinnamon constellations, crashing down like empty space, breaking into black dust across bones, kissing oxygen, I turn red, a reminder of my blood, the ones who taught me how to disappear. You saw me write 3 words, fill up an entire journal of I hate myself. I was 5. You thought I had no concept of what it meant, but it's not a coincidence that when I went to hide, you could never find me. Sometimes I would wait for hours until I was discovered, and discovered you weren't even looking. The same apathy when I begged you not to be with him, all of it went up in flames. We may as well be the smoke, buried in the heavy scent of self-medicating, and now it's my turn to be the blunt, inescapable reality, the car crash you can't turn away from, the moment you see the grenade and find that there is no conscious decision, just impulsive character. Are you a martyr or a survivor? You can't live to be both. And maybe if I don't rise as a phoenix, I can still be a diamond. After all, it only takes so much pressure before you are forced to be resilient. Or I can be Kai's sky ladder, climbing my way into the atmosphere, only to rain down in falling stars wishes that have been answered. Most of all, I don't want to be the flame. I want to be the candle, slowly melt, paint the ground with my story, the little drips of wax that show you where I've been. And maybe yours could be next to mine for a while, slowly blend together the confluence of the Minnesota and Mississippi, always destined to meet one another someday. After all, we leave from the same place. So it only made sense when you walked up to me, reached out your hand, lit your own candle, and stood with me knowingly. Everything was brighter in empathy, and suddenly I didn't need to be the flame or the smoke or the diamond or phoenix, just me, the wax falling at our feet.
If you give a black boy $1, he's gonna wanna shop. He'll think of Hot Wheels and video games, new kicks, and a bike to do tricks with. His wish list is limitless. But he'll settle for food. If you let a black boy shop for food, then he's gonna think of fried chicken and collard greens, mama's mac and cheese, and granddad's black-eyed peas, and of course, Granny's banana pudding. His hunger will grow soul food dreams. But he'll settle for McDonald's. If you let a black boy eat, then he's gonna want to drink. He'll think of Kool-Aid and lemonade, and on a special day, grape soda. His thirst will make his mouth dry. His tongue twisting itself into a desperate raindrop, just waiting for a drop. So he'll settle for water and pray that it's clean this time. If you let a black boy drink, then he's gonna wanna live. He'll see himself playing ball, winning trophies and rings and leaving a legacy. He'll see himself designing skyscrapers, creating a cloud's rival, reaching for the sun. He'll see himself in space, stepping on planets, discovering the universe. He'll see himself creating a galaxy. Painted on a cotton canvas, these constellations connect, capturing magnificence. He'll see himself in the future. He's gonna wanna live, but he'll settle for $1, because that's all you're willing to give. Thank you.
Let me paint you a picture, built from the searing red color of built-up anger, from when I decided life wasn't that great, from when I decided there was too much injustice and I couldn't handle the pressure. The green of envy or sickness, from wanting more than just this, then settling for just enough. The blue of melancholy and peace. There's 2 steps to this. 1, recognize my pain, acknowledge it. 2, make peace with it. The purple of a bruise or spilt wine on a carpet. This means something else entirely. This means the confusion and anger of being alive, the sheer horror of existence. The yellow of fear and a vague promise of something beautiful. This is similar. I look on the bright side, or at least try to, hence the fear. The black of despair and darkness, a reaching promise that never came. All these go hand in hand, you know. Let me paint you a picture, built from my tears when I realized my dad wasn't some Greek god who lived far away, when I realized the reason he wasn't there was because of my mother. Built from I realized the world was black. Sorry, I stuttered there. Built from when I realized the world was bleak and colorless. Gray is a fitting color for trauma. Built from every angsty scream I released from my window when I turned 21, never wanting to age again. Built from every drug I experimented with to feel some kind of warmth. From every empty promise made, from every half-assed kiss, from every breathless gasp of despair. All these colors come at once and turn into the black and gray I'm most familiar with. It has consumed me and wants me to paint this picture. Art is built from pain, and art is the most powerful weapon. And I want to paint you a picture.
So when are we going to talk about this lettuce recall? I was in the airport earlier this week, and a woman was telling me, I can't believe something so healthy can be so dangerous. I couldn't help but think, how often is it the same in our own lives? Life is lettuce, ironic considering most people don't even eat it. But how often do we choose the fries over the salad knowing full well the salad is what we actually need? How many times this week did we convince ourselves if we ate lettuce just once, we'd die, knowing full well we wouldn't be eating lettuce regardless of the recall? You see, romaine lettuce was recalled because of a downward importance of self-management on the farms. The farmers were reusing old dirty water to wash them. Lettuce washed repeatedly with the same dirt. We judge, but how often do we do it to ourselves? Rewashing ourselves with the past, unable to move forward. How often do we linger, unable to say the things we really want to? How often do we drink dirty water, knowing full well all we needed was a filter? Life is about choices and changes. Life is about realization and growth. Life is about forgiveness. How often do we stare at the star we love, wide-eyed, happy to share the same experience, not noticing how blind we're becoming? Unfazed until we try to look elsewhere and notice everything is dark. We've gone blind. The star has gone out, or so we think. Blinded, we run around searching and hoping to grab onto something tangible, forgetting you yourself are there in the moment. How often do we fail to reach out thinking we're nothing but a ghost, not realizing our vision would come back? Eventually, we've wandered so far as it's as if we've traveled to some alien planet. Self-realization is a powerful thing. The star is still there. We're definitely on the same planet. We needed to change tactics. Look at it from a different perspective. Get a water filter. Wear fucking sunglasses for once. How often have we convinced ourselves we're the bad guy unable to change? We, the farmer, tainting the lettuce, not realizing how much heat exhaustion has taken from us. How we blinded ourselves, not knowing the materials we needed were right in front of us the whole time. Self-realization is a powerful thing. You can't wait for the right time. Then you'd be waiting forever. You need to change. Sunglasses don't appear, and filters need to be installed. Self-realization is a powerful thing, but it doesn't come easy. It takes effort. It takes activity, not inactivity. How do we forgive ourselves for the things we didn't say and the actions we didn't take until it was too late? I no longer wash my hands with dirty water, and last night I ate the biggest fucking salad any of you had ever seen, because I know the filter has been installed. I look with the sunglasses of self-realization and see the star. It's distant, but it's there. The iridescent flames dance alongside it, seemingly call out to me the farmer, now realizing the importance of activity. How often do we need to take a step back, to grab some sunglasses, replace the water filter, to see what's always been there, what still is there? Self-realization is a powerful thing, and life is lettuce. Thank you.
Don't touch Tinder if you're still hurt from your last match that started a great flame then died out, leaving you to carry deep burns. I know that liberating feeling of exploring, seeing what's out there in our vast world waiting for you. Whether you're a Boy Scout or Girl Scout, we all bear the desire to scout out something that will make us feel alive. Give us permission to finally set our tents up and camp out for more than a night. Sit under stars and marvel alongside companion close to campfire where we usually feel our most vulnerable to every sound of wildlife round our way. Trust me, I know how it feels to fantasize such a trip, but if you're still recovering from last fall, don't jump to spring. I know it feels so cold and isolated for you. Single, mid-20 age human being silently reminded by myriad of married friends that you're missing out. Early 30s single parent who always has company of kids but still feels so alone. I know it sucks to hide out and house hurts till healed when it feels like a void needs to be filled. And if it don't happen now, then it never ever will. And there's a field of people playing along, swiping eyes left, right, till there's no one right, left. Plus to you, this is a race where you don't want to get left, right? So you participate in this marathon with many members. Sprint towards dating app. Upload pretty picture from past when prison posture was potent with peace that has now perished, being replaced with pain. Build up an impressive bio, crafted with eloquent words, outstanding accomplishments that will act as roots, and telling of abuse that isn't loose from around your heart, whose capillaries remain tight from turmoil, caused by last man squeeze who press so much life out of you that you barely bring yourself to breathe fluently. You don't show them scars. You keep them hidden behind emojis. Grieving your spirit, telling you to steer this another direction before that ride gets too serious, and you find yourself buckled into something you ain't ready for, leaving passenger seat partner perplexed by why you both hit the dead end with no idea of how y'all ended up there. Willingly leading your date to death march that you're still suffering severely from, beating them with the mirage of a place they think is home but be ragged remains of a horrible house fire, an abode needing many repairs before someone can settle in it. And I get it, being patient with wounds and scars is a bedridden position no one wants, but you can't give anyone everything if half of you is still broken. So don't touch Tinder if them embers and ash still glow of post-traumatic stress that ain't ever got permanently put out. You are a divine being who feels as if you've fallen from heaven and are cursed or in hell, but that ain't true. Find love within self. Let grief grieve. Let loneliness be that sacred time you take time in and be that fire for yourself so you can properly light up life for another.
Raining on the commons. The rain falls on the college students. The rain falls on the shoppers and joggers and bloggers. The rain falls on the bereft and beleaguered. The besmirched, the bedraggled, the bedridden. The rain falls on the unkept and the uncouth. The rain falls on the uncanny youth who leap and cavort in a manic goof. The rain falls on the solitary souls carrying the weight of their lives on their backs. The rain falls on the collateral damage. The rain falls on a man with a ham sandwich. The rain falls on the frightened ones running out of fear of getting soaked. The rain falls on the guy who's been called sad joke. The rain falls on the leaves of the pin oak that just can't bear to let them go. The rain falls on the memory of my first phone number, Overdale 85350. The rain falls on the Tewana heart of Frida Kahlo, who died the month I was born. The rain falls on Tom Waits singing Silent Night. Rain falls on the plate glass window of the public library in which I hide. The rain bathes the trek bike that I ride. The rain soaks the old bricks of Donnelly's bar. The rain rinses the pavement. The rain refreshes the graffiti. The rain touches us all. It's democratic and American, but it's not allowed to vote. The rain soaks Santa's beard and Whitman's beard. In fact, Walt Whitman is Santa Claus. The raindrops are the tears of Walt Whitman. Why are you crying today, Walt? The rain falls on the child in the green slicker and yellow boots. The rain falls on the hypnotist dentist. The rain falls on the wooden horses and Christmas trees. The rain falls on the force elephants of our dreams. The rain falls on all creeds and all teams. The rain falls on the enriched and the impoverished. It's a holy sacrament, a liquid libation, a solution. The rain falls on the raw and the cooked. The rain falls on the just fine and totally fucked, and the sun stroked and the moon struck. The rain falls on the sacred and profane, and finally, the rain falls on the rain. We lift our heads and open our mouths, and the rain falls on our tongues. It inundates us and blesses us.
All right, so this is called The Opposite of Samson. It's about shaving my head. The razor buzzes on the sink under my palm as I stare down at the drain, looking at the clumps of hair that cover it already. A thick stripe of absence and fuzz cuts through the top of my head, leaving the rest of the mess to surround it like a too wide part. I have been told that my hair curls like a cherub's, one that resides within the Renaissance paintings in old Italian cathedrals. They rest their heads on the frames, chubby hands holding chubby cheeks as they stare off into the pews. They are beautiful, perfect for the rest of their lives, no need for redemption or revenge. I take a brief pause for pridefulness, then begin. Looking at the mess, I am reminded of the story of Samson. Blessed with the gift of long, long locks and pure brute strength, he could do anything he set his mind to, as long as his head remained untouched as a sign of his mother's vow to God. What he set his mind to was death to non-believers, taking bits of the skulls of animal skeletons and laying waste to waste, ashes to ashes, dust to dust. The angel that blessed his mother, he may have had his own curls. My hair is half gone now. My scalp is cold. Samson's story ended with the breaking of his inherent covenant through the love of a woman who had no chains but sin to hold her down. Blinded and bound at the temple, he was given strength through repentance and finished in the final slaughter of jeering men and their cackling wives. Meanwhile, I clutch at the twisting strands as they separate into my fingers, growing smaller, smaller, smaller. I am lit up by the fluorescent bulbs of the too small bathroom, rubbing the stubble on the top of my head. The razor cuts through the temple curtain, and I have nothing left. As I turn on the water to wash away what's left of my hair in the sink, I notice the small buzz of a halo forming. I notice the small bumps and grooves on my skull, and I lift it into the sky, hollow and hallowed and holy. There is no obligation to be perfect. The covenants are one started by me and God in a collaborative effort. Nothing born before me or after. I am the waste, the ash, the dust, the life, the breath, the spirit, the curls in the sink, the water that swirls it away, the strength itself, and the thing that brings it. I rest my head against the frame of the window, chubby hands holding chubby cheeks, to take a pause for pridefulness. This time, I dwell in it. Thank you.
Hottest ever. The distance between bus stop and home has increased due to global warming. On account of the hole in the ozone, sunlight smarts the skin. By dint of extremes in the weather, uphill inclines bloom. Because of the grasp of greenhouse gases, lightheadedness grows. Owing to the fact of climate change, we keep inside the lines of shadows.
Tonight you are here to get it, get free, get free, get life, get sick and kick hope, son. Transfuse the scope of this dope, son, get some. Inch across this stage to find your sure fit. Open up your mouth and pour out your poet. Because they cannot have this. This is yours. These chairs, they're yours. This microphone is yours. As far as the mind can fathom, man, it's your stuff too. So if you choose to set the roof to roaring with hot molten metaphors, I'll manage the damage and the aftershock because you need this. You need to bleed your gifts. Let the title flow from the rift. Flip light switch for positive, bottle the negative, cork it, and dispose of it. Open up your heart and pour out your poet. Maybe you could transpose it. Take it up the octave and hold it. Bring it down the third and unfold it. Since you have chosen to be spoken, silence is never golden said. Words said, phrase catch, fireflies crush and mold them. Follow this poetry star you are beholding. Big dip dopeness. You choke myths of inferior tectonic shifts. You quake shit. Break hips to reform double jointed so they can flex those small minds of theirs to make the big picture fit. You've got big agendas, kid, not the least of which is to build monuments for the hopeless. Open up your soul and pour out your poet. And eventually it will begin to sink in through the layers of sediment. And into the roots of the food, the bonds of their groundwater too. I want you to try and recontaminate what this system has worked so hard to produce so you can produce a recycled psyche for youth to cultivate and reuse. I want you to abuse these airwaves. Vibrate the author page of history books so that you can raise a grave from the motivated greats. You are so young, so fresh, so goddamn educated. Open up your mouth and show these people why you should be venerated. If you've got something to say, you should probably say something.
When asked, "How are you?" I respond with a name no longer living, Muhammad, Razan, Dia. At this point, I am alive by luck. I did not die. The bullet missed my head and landed in another. We are pain. Black is pain. Muslim is pain. We are all a word trapped in a bracket. Sat in a dark room with the lights turned off. Candles blown away. Blinded by the dark. The dark that you decided we belong to. You still don't understand? Well, maybe you should start listening. You claim that there's justice, but when my people were murdered, you looked the other way, kept their death on the low, but if for one of your people, the whole world would know. All the news and all the print, my people's murders went unreported. Y'all didn't even bother to drop a word or a hint. No emotion in the commotion. You weren't even sad. You just turned around and said, "Oops, my bad." Injustice forgotten quickly passes away. Only thing we can do for them is pray. They don't care about us, my mama explained it. I didn't even know that there was an us till my mama proclaimed it. She said, us and them will never be the same. You'll have to work twice as hard to get the stuff that they already claim. Not a month later, hate-related shots devoured a mosque, burned it to the ground. On the news that night, a new hair trend was going around. Not a word or a warning about the mosque. Y'all just told us to calm down, but how can I calm down when that could have been me? My people were struck with terror, and my mosque was as empty as it'll ever be. For days that turned into weeks, it felt like living on the edge of death and reality. It might not have been Your finger that pulled the trigger or your signature that sealed the fate. But you could still show some love and sympathy because my people needed to be reminded that not everyone wanted them to live in peace, in misery. Thank you.
Torres, cuando existe. Torres, when it exists. Torres, small city in Portugal, only exists when it rains. And it's always a gentle rain, because when you walk the narrow medieval streets of Torres, when it exists, you never get wet. You get damp, maybe a bit chilly, but you're never wet through, never ever soaked. If you're drenched to the bone and sloshing in puddles, you are somewhere else, not in the Torres that exists on nights of gentle rain like these. Buildings of Renaissance stucco and tile rise 2 or 3 stories either side. Each dark door is of thick planks framed by heavy timbers. In the center of each door, a framed iron knocker in the shape of a human hand clutching a small ball. Windows shuttered. Cobblestones, glossy, worn by hard centuries of soft souls. A soul such as you possess on nights like these in this Torres when it exists. The cobblestones underfoot are never slippery, but on this block, this particular night, how they do glisten. Where the street, in the yellow of a sodium light high on the wall ahead, where the street turns a blind corner. You walk and drizzle toward that corner, drawn by the distant sound of jazz. You round the corner into a street not different from the one you just left. High walls, dark doors, a lighted corner, ahead from around the bend, the sound of soft jazz. It's that sound you follow these nights in this Torres when it exists. Some nights in no particular block, you will encounter a person approaching, someone you may or may not know, someone you may have seen before in the other Torres. So shoulders often hunch. This person may or may not look up as they pass. But tonight, the person approaching is Sarah, an American student you recognize. You know her from the square of her shoulders, from the stumble in her walk, the tough spark in her gray eyes that never blur, no matter how blurred her brain. Sarah, you okay? She tosses her head, yeah. Can you find your way? Fuck yeah. She staggers, maybe sidesteps, lumbers on. You do not follow. In this Torres, when it exists, no two people may follow the same path, yet often they arrive at the same destination. You continue through drizzle, in peace, rounding the corners, one after another, onto blocks identical in all details, in all but details, until eventually you approach a corner. The cymbals shush and the mute of cornet gets louder. You make the turn, and there's the bar that only exists on nights like these. Ajar, the door spills a doormat of light across the cobbles, a welcome mat of light across the cobbles. Above the door, in cursive neon, unpunctuated, cerveja, jazz, beer, jazz. Your friends are already there, gathered round 2 tables drawn together. Anna and Jess, Leonel and Olga, Miguel the German, Jonathan, who goes by Jonathan, and Brian, whose only 2 words of Portuguese are tosta mista, grilled cheese, and it's the only food he'll order from a Portuguese menu. Are any of these your friends aware that the other Toresh, where we all spend our days and all but a few of our nights, does not tonight exist? Did they come here tonight like you, solitary, trusting, anonymous, at peace? You look for Sarah, who seems not there till you spot her behind the bar, a dangerous knife in her slender hand, slicing meat from a joint of pork on a turning spit, serving customers as if she works there, but she doesn't. Sarah's heritage is a dangerous cocktail of Irish, Cossack, Comanche. Sarah, who on these nights when she exists can hold more liquor than the canyon streets beyond can hold darkness.
This poem is to Taylor Anderson, the girl one. To be distinguished from the other blonde girls in Henley's Too Tall for the 8th grade, not to be confused with the boy in our grade with exactly the same name, you. Taylor Anderson, the girl one. Oh, to be you, the girl bully, obsessed with the truth of my breasts. I see you following like a baby Muscovy, asking for tissues to touch. Oh, to be the girl encouraging boys to follow another girl into dark places, to search me for Kleenex, for puffs. Oh, to be so puffed up, feathered, and fierce, to lose yourself later in puffs of some numbing thing. Oh, to be a girl crossing lines between women, lines between states in your stolen car, and your many blonde friends stealing your way to Consequence, New Mexico. Oh, to be a headline. Oh, to be a sorry. Oh, to be a headline. Oh, to be reduced from headline to byline. My girl, the line between us. I, the girl, searched every day for drugs, for guns by men too old to touch my adolescent explosion of skin and teeth. I, the girl with the bad name, measuring criminal beside you, my machinist father, a yardstick less than your father and his combines. We both coming up short before our fathers and their impossible names. My fathers forever preening, too thin, too fat, too little, too much, never enough. I know you must know this, Taylor Anderson. Why else speed towards consequence? Thank you.
It's called The Big Wind. Anything that stretches out through space also stretches out through time. There are no video game polygons that flicker for an instant and then disappear. Then again, no arrangement of a polycule, polyamorous relationship, guarantees that it will stick around. Although there might be some connected networks where one link has more stress on it than that link can bear. Take my life. 2 trips to St. Paul, 1 brilliant, a cute mechanic like my dress. I thought I was being kissed in earnest by this other girl who had fallen off a sailboat. I looked at the murals in the cathedral. I had ice cream and sex with my girlfriend, though she was tired from neuroresidency and overextending herself. Another trip, the fall was coming on, and things had not stood still. Her marriage was getting strained, and I had no money flowing in, at least not fast enough. The wind was blowing faster. We make choices based on who we think we love. I learned in my first year out of college how delicious it can be to find oneself finally wanting something. Like I finally liked food again. I tried out for nonprofit jobs because they sounded good. What a gift it is to finally be craving Rocky Road and not just buy Superman again because you want to feel better, because it made you feel better at some point in the past. Being attached to things that exist distant from us in space is better than being attached to feelings distant in time. But it's so pointless to make a list of what you like. I know now why someone once told me that having favorites was something they'd grown out of. One time, I was lying on top of my girlfriend, and I blurted out, "You're my favorite!" And she couldn't say the same. So I backtracked, listing others. My old stuffed Big Bear, the Winter Moon, Natalie. Maybe I wish I hadn't said it, or hadn't kissed the boat girl, but regret is hard. I don't know. Everything that stretches out through space also stretches out through time, but it's hard to say whether the reverse is true. It certainly feels like there are things that last for a while and then vanish, but never take up any space at all. And the only way I can figure it out is by imagining a wind. A big wind that flows through everything unrecorded. And in its turbulence, it carries what we can lose but cannot touch. I think we make choices based on who we love, but my girlfriend loved to torment me by proposing that choice is an illusion, that our bodies are automatons, that we only think we're here. I got so angry because it felt like she was saying that she was here and I was not, or else that she could turn away if I looked too closely, fly back down into the earth like Eurydice, as though the ability to cease existing were an advantage, which is an advantage the dead have. No one can play hard to get like them. But there's a difference between only thinking I'm here and knowing I used to be. The big wind blows through everything. Cold corpses, false friends, pointed questions, faulty memories, symbols, succulents, and if the definition of a wind is a motion invisible, except by watching the things it moves, this may not be a wind because unless my girlfriend is right, unless we really are dead dolls animated only by an inconsistent force, it's hard to say where the wind begins and we and the big world stop. And it's hard to say where the dead, like little teasing tumbleweeds, have gone since they were here. The big wind keeps no records, except for a weather vane's hint of the direction it came in on.
I write poetry when I'm feeling. I write poetry because when I write, I miss letters and words. Articulate, eloquent verbs are such fun terms. I can't make words that fucking sell. I'm more alive on pages than within my fucking self. Largo through life, Fargo the strife. I'm fucking lit and I'll eat all my homegrown organic spite. Reincorporate it, make something new, something deadlier, like lead in my cells. Fuck up my nerves so I can't fucking spell. I can't make words that fucking sell. I'll write hundreds of spells, touch myself and cry sriracha. I'm a hipster bitch, what else?
So, if you've ever worked a retail job, have you ever been hit on like really creepily? Because that's what this is about. They call me Sweetie. I am pleasant voice and wide eyes, black Oreo crumbs in the just out of reach corners of lips saying thank you, have a great day. Candy-coated words inviting nicknames like Sweetie, Sugar, Honey. Girl, I'm about to try this terrible pickup line on. I make jokes and laugh at yours because... No, I've never heard that one before, especially not in the context of needing to keep my job. When I ask if you've been out of the country in the last 3 weeks, I agree that a beach would be a much better setting to be in, and ignore that creepy look in your eye, dreaming of sun-soaked water, pina coladas, and lines drawn in the sand, because I can't fight back. And that's just how you like me, isn't it? I am stuck behind a desk, a set of rules, and some self-de-escalation techniques now. Maybe I'm just really good at faking it, or maybe you're just really bad at catching it, because really, I am perfected retail voice and like 17 dark bags under my eyes, black chip nail polish fighting the urge to show what I really think of you, hands clutching the edge of the counter to keep from making fists when I hear lines like, maybe if you didn't have a man, we could talk about a different kind of membership. Laughing uncomfortably because what else can I do? Well, really, I'm just dreaming of being as far away from you as possible. It doesn't have to be a beach, but it makes it a lot easier to draw lines, bitch. And God, do I need a strong drink. Oh, don't get me wrong, just not with you. I like someone who's literary and you can't even seem to read a room. Because I am not the girl you'd call sweetie in a bar. I just had a shot of Carolina Reaper vodka ready to breathe fire in your eyes. And I'm off the clock. So call me sweetie one more time.
This one's called Evaporate. Evaporate. Sorry. When a tornado walks into your home, you do not ask the thunder to repeat itself. You find a place to take shelter because this roof is not enough anymore. You make new hiding places out of old stories. You find compartments to survive inside of. The walls are pine and smell like love. After all, it holds you, but not the way he does. His grip meant to leave reminders. He says, bruises are just so you don't miss me. Anxiety so you'll never forget me. His words echoed like hail on a tin roof, rattling around like pinballs or molecules. I can't help but think about the messages you write with your hand across my cheek. The imprint you left in the wall. The questions come like prophecy. When will it happen again? Is it you outside my door? Is it me? Did I do something wrong? Is it me? Did I deserve it? Is it me? Is this love? Is it me? Is it me? Is it me? And my head just keeps swimming, spiraling, drowning, running, whatever. And all I want to do is hit it against the wall until it stops. No. Every footstep in the hallway, every creak became a symphony of panic. As if you were conducting an orchestra of stray neurons, your manic way of saying I love you was the same way I learned to build walls. In the silence on the other side of the door, I could see the lightning fade into your bedroom, back to the woman who knew you were a storm blowing in, who thought she could save you. And though clouds start small, they become heavier with gravity, and that was already enough to keep us on the ground. In the hour after a rain, you can almost feel the ocean on your skin. The petrichor like a memory looking to be remembered, wanting to be a part of something, blood, sweat, tears. It wants to surround you because it knows where you're from. It wants to carry you back because it wants to see where you belong. I had to learn how to touch again. I had to be patient to understand that it doesn't always hurt, that when someone reaches out their hand, it can hold you gently. It can ask you what you need. You don't have to reach back, but you can if you want to. Sometimes we just need to know that we can move the clouds too, like pushing through humidity, but I'm afraid to disturb you, afraid to move, because if I do, I'll get you on my skin. And sometimes that's too close. I don't want it to find its way in, to become a part of me. After all, it has already left its mark on me every time I flinch, and you don't understand why. I'm afraid that I can never be without the storm. The rain a reminder, the petrichor my peace with it, and the clouds will come again. But this time I'll bring a raincoat. This time I'll bring a lightning rod. This time I'll make something out of the electricity. This time I will be the light that never goes out, and you will be the fuel, because I am more than just water, and I will not evaporate because you asked me to.
Here's a fact. In my birthday suit, I'm black. Please don't shoot. But when you see me walking at night in my black hoodie on a cartoon nice, you've got to question it. I mean, me. So when I take a step towards you, or I try to show you my ID, or I try to run away from you, or I put my hands where you can see, fear's too thick to look through, and you're too anxious to shoot. So you pull your gun up off your hip, if it's not already drawn, and you unload the clip until each bullet is gone. So just like at the gun range, you've shot black bodies, the embodiment of danger, hunted as a hobby, and I'm supposed to watch as hope dies in the street. Because what's a cop to a nigga like me? So now we're living with bulletproof vests, hoping not to end up like the rest. Here's a fact. In my birthday suit, I'm black. Please don't shoot. But your words weaponize your willful ignorance, working to dehumanize anyone with pigment. You're so articulate isn't a compliment. It just exposes your notions, preconceived and atrocious, that it's a shock I'm able to control language when I'm supposed to be on the block or trying to get rap famous. See, and you've got to play ball on the future is another form of unlawful detainment. And when I say Black Lives Matter, you feel a need to respond, all lives matter. Perpetuating the national con so the veil of violence isn't shattered. See, with every word you whip out, I'm wounded to my core, overwhelmed with doubt. Because bulletproof vests don't work anymore. Here's a fact. In my birthday suit, I'm black. Please don't shoot. But your silence is like a bullet, burrowing beneath skin and burning through bone, because I was looking for kin. I can't win this fight on my own, but I sounded too black. My burden, so much bigger, that you couldn't have my back or blame the one behind the trigger. And when I ask you to speak out against racist chants, I want you to take a chance. I want you to shout. I want you to speak out. But you know how easy friends can turn foes, how privilege can become woes. See, your silence shoots my soul. When there are lives to save and you have the control. But like God turning his face away when Christ was forsaken, you leave me there, hanging, stark naked. Here's a fact. In my birthday suit, I'm black. Please don't shoot.
When they beat, dragged, stomped, burned that body that was Emmett Till, I wonder if hip-hop held the hostile white coats. Before KKK noose niggas, I wonder if rap rope round necks, because you know that rap music been breaking our black babies for years. Like remember that time turntables took 22 teens, tortured till tummies tumbled to terror? Or when the Fugees wrote a track so violent that it literally took folks and started killing them softly. And you can't have forgot when Run DMC's track left the 16 backs of 16 blacks on the curved wax. It'd be the rap. I mean, Fox News and church pews have same views when it comes to hip-hop's hit list that's capped more colors than crooked cops and kids covering Corolla markers combined. That's placed more chains and handed out more whips. Placed more chains and handed out more whips than any radical colonizer ever could. Do we not hear the privilege in that persuasion? Like outsiders looking into Section 8 homes where kinfolk celebrate culture. Frenzying feet finessed in fancy footwear, resonating with rhythmic rhymes shared in an atmosphere of broken beings who've been told time and time that don't mean shit. Nas, Pac, KRS-One, redeemed wrecked ones ripped by world rap is Afrocentric worship, but all outsiders here is guns and bass, then turn their face saying rap lacks grace. But let me not bring up my narrative right. Noise that neurologically nudged me negatively. Like when whites would drop N-bombs outside window while whipping down one way as I walked, reminding me of my inadequacies. Or when that principal told others that this kid delivered from urban area Times was bad news after only scanning my cover, skimming it with presumptuous eyes, taking no time to look inside and discover delicate layers of a scared black boy on front page who just wanted to be loved and accepted. When these experiences left me broken, God birthed bravery into this black broken being. Boom bap brilliance by Miss Marquis' mouth melodies reminded me that when the war is against us, when politicians pose so pompously, acting as if they know adversity's sting while standing outside its hurts, calling anything abnormal to their experience, ignorant, we gon' be alright. But yes, blame that rap music. Point at her obvious flaws and ignore her unsung beauties. Sweeping shards of society hurts under the rug, that broken glass of gentrification, drugs pouring into urban ends of nation, that teacher turning face from students struggling with single-parent home situations, blaming their failure on a lack of efforts and laziness. So if that guy or gal don't got a good GPA, then that GBA nuisance playing Game Boy Advance, GBA. A little more focused, note this, jot it down, turn around, take words back, don't go backwards, you just need AP. G. But yes, blame that rap music. She's used to taking your shots and hits at this point.
So, just as a preface to this poem, there is mentions of self-harm and severe mental health issues. So, if you guys are triggered by those kind of descriptions, then it's probably not best if you listen. Take some time for yourself. Take care of yourself, that kind of thing. It's called Bespectacled Girl. To the bespectacled girl with a face marred with acne who cuts herself with shards of broken pens. Your psychiatrist describes you exactly like this in your medical records after your first hospitalization. He will sit barely taller than you, gnarled hands twirling a pen and beady eyes watching you untwist a paperclip, analyzing a nightmare you had and telling you how much you resent your brother before hobbling back to his office to cycle through another set of sad teenagers and angry dreams. He doesn't know you. He doesn't know anything. Besides your entire life story that you'll eventually expose to him in the intake room with tears and snot and apprehension as he briefly looks up from his notes without moving his head and quickly returns to his work. Afterwards, he will apologize for not getting to you sooner. To the bespectacled girl with a face marred with acne who cuts herself with shards of broken pen, you have been right about yourself for 5 years. And while you are literally unable to feel pride in your correctness, it's not natural feeling to do so, so you don't. Instead, you sink down within yourself, looking through the backs of your eyes and the comfy nestling nook in your skull before sliding down to the pit in your stomach, deep enough to lose yourself and close enough to the surface to hate it. This is where you belong, clutched within the fist that punches you in the gut to wake you up and push you out and knock you down, in a cyclical routine tumbling you like a rock that was never born to gleam. You tell your psychiatrist that your forearms go numb and tingle every once in a while, and that you get desperate sometimes for the sake of desperation. That's his cue to take away your paperclip. I'm sure you're wondering if he sees your eyes darting from object to object, wondering if you can whittle a toothbrush into a weapon with your stare alone, and finally pop the thought bubbles in your arteries and snap out of it. He does notice. He notices everything. To the bespectacled girl with a face marred with acne who cuts herself with shards of broken pen, this hospital will not be kind to you. The next hospital will not be kind to you, nor the next 7. This world will not be kind to you. You may have been right about having depression for 5 years now, but you will feel wrong about it for 6 more while you attempt to fix what is supposedly broken. The thing is, you can't fix something built with the parts you were given at birth. They were made to discontinue. Nature's planned obsolescence. Burn out quickly with a flick of the wrist like a matchbook. Instead, you eventually decide you don't like that type of technology anyway. You go from plastic to metal, but graduate to nothing at all. You find a better skincare routine. You get therapist after therapist after therapist after therapist after therapist when you realize why your parents took you to the hospital in the first place. You still need the glasses, but you're seeing through your eyes again. You have scars. You don't need to hide them. So to the bespectacled girl with a face marred with acne who cuts herself with shards of broken pens, you will be smooth on the outside again. The pieces of plastic no longer sticking through the skin and creating mountains out of moles and freckles. The flashbacks on your forearms will look like daydreams. And you may not be perfectly healed, but you can pretend until you are.
So this is a poem about, you remember in high school when like the new person used to come in from out of town? And y'all know what I'm talking about. And for a man, you tell you, hey son, did you see her, son? And the girl, did you see him? I know you saw him. So this is about that, high school. Another day that began much too early. The usual routine. Alarm set for 6:17. I then got dressed right after I got clean. Cooked a little something, ate, and got to moving. Cruising and grooving to the music that was booming. Trying to prepare myself for the daily bullshit they was going to have me doing. Stepped from the vehicle and after a quiet round, straightened up and saw my dude standing beyond. What it do, kid? Nah, shit, my dude. Tat, scat, tat, 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 scat, a tat, scat, tat, 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 scat. Me and my guys strolled, no arch in our back. You see, the halls of high schools usually lack confident young men, but then again, the rest of them wasn't us. I said, all right, son, I'll catch you after third. We shook up. He said, bet, kid, I'll see your word. Stepped into history, and my teacher was sitting on his desk, grinning and smiling at his masterpiece of a test. And man, I guess I studied, but you'll have to excuse me. You see, that's when I saw her. Please excuse the time that I take out to describe. She was short. Miss had a hip-hop complexion that was brown to perfection. Everything was shaped the right way. Definitely saw nothing lacking in the display. Open toes, shoes, and capris already had me on the verge. So I was formulating words the likes of which I was sure she had never heard. Those beautiful lips were perfect, parted in a smile that hit me like the sun on a breathtaking afternoon. I could tell the sister had gravity, and I was about to make my move. I said, excuse me, but I desire to lick you like devious double mocha chocolate chip on top of waffle cone sexy. Sex me and leave you refreshing. Corner crevices open all night for midnight snacking sensations on our back. Sis, you see, I want to be and I want you to be. I want us to see just how beautifully we could bloom. I mean, you flawlessly assume and command the laws of physics. Gravitational field stretching me and my senses to the limits. I've never been one to fall for female gimmicks, but you've got me longing to study your body like the hieroglyphics on the walls of Kemet. Not even those histories in the pyramids of Egypt could diminish this love of substance I'm trying to create. I want to feel your heartbeats. Feel and caress each and every one. Taste the blended hues of your ancestry. Savor the sweetness of your heritage firsthand. If you'll be my queen, I will continuously move mountains, uproot trees, cast them from your path, and when evening comes, we can rest. And I'll rest my head on your chest. Sprinkle soft kisses along your expanse as you moisten evenly, then easily stroke your desire, receiving me repeatedly. So can we be, I asked as I stepped close and I took her hand and she said, I don't know what you thought this was, but I got a man.
Go back to where you came from. You know what? I wish that I could. I wish I would wake up to the fresh smell of my neighbors' Arabic coffee in the morning. The smell of the streets filled with fresh knafe pies and pastries. Each street vendor yelling louder than the other, yet still harmonizing all together. I wish I could stroll down the market with my mother, trying on everything that we see. I wish I could hear the prayers booming through the town, causing peace and tranquility. The smell of jasmine trees as the old ladies water them with the floral pots, and the young girls gathered around, picking the prettiest flowers and turning them into crowns. The boys running between the buildings, never even pausing to catch their breath. The fresh breeze of air coming from my open balcony as my best friend and I spill the latest gossip. My best friend, I wish I could go back and tell her for the last time, I love you. I loved you. Boom and crash. Shattering of glass. You have to understand that I only left home because home wouldn't let me stay. Home held a blade to my neck. It chased me, fired bullets in my back. Home chased me away. Boom, then crash. Life would never be the same. Thank you.
Thanks so much for being here. There's a content warning on this one for sexual assault, so if you need your space, I respect that. Also, if you want to laugh, it's okay. This is called Netflix and Chill. When the man who raped me called my place of work asking for my Netflix password, I admit I lost my shit a little. It had been 11 months since it happened, and we'd not spoken since his wife and son had come from redacted to join him, but he had little money and I had lots of pity, so I let him sponge from me, despite what he did that night when I told him I didn't want it. C switched from the Matrix on her knees, looking up, saying, not like this, over and over, not the way he did it with his wife, but I guess he missed her, or I guess it didn't matter to him if she didn't want it either. I told security not to ban him from the hospital because of his son. It was because of his son I, the bride, had allowed him to keep his wicked life in my Netflix account, but he had become greedy and took more from me than he should have, double fisting the Vampire Diaries on his cell phone and laptop simultaneously so often that the other parasites on my account had called to complain. That's the kind of person I am, unable to get angry enough to do something to inconvenience my rapist until he came not in between me and my House Hunters International Marathon, but some other leech's House Hunters International Marathon. Oprah told me there was a new day was coming, one where I didn't have to share my Netflix account with the person who violated me. Tanara Burke told me later, girl, take care of yourself. Find others who feel you and keep fighting. So my question to you, redacted, are you still watching? Your time is up.
So a few years ago for a class, I Googled how to flirt. So this is a response to Cosmo's How to Flirt Like Crazy. The internet keeps telling me I'm flirting all wrong, that I'm failing at enticing a possible male suitor, that rambling sarcasm and awkward compliments aren't the way to go. Thank God I have Cosmo to have my back, because now I know I should compliment early. Be bold, but don't come on too strong. A simple, you have the most beautiful eyes, you sexy, sexy man, will suffice. But look at him through your lashes. Remember, ladies, men are the dominant ones, so keep your eyes down and fishnets on. Remember to compliment his masculinity, because very masculine men are the only ones worth our time, even though it takes a lot of balls for a man to wear pink. I'm into that. Sounds more like a backhanded compliment? That's okay, Cosmo. I think I'll just stick to trying. Damn, your pics are so hard. It felt like I was falling into a brick wall after wearing a very short skirt and letting him follow me up a long flight of stairs. Except, not asking for a friend, does any of that actually work? Because let's face it, I'm a sarcastic asshole, and no, that won't change. And no, I won't look him through my lashes, and no, I won't call him sexy in a sultry voice. But I do still have to thank you, Cosmo, for having 1 out of 25 tips be about talking. Striking up a conversation with that hot hipster guy about indie music. But even then, I think I'd rather try saying something like how I want to see your silhouette on my window, the sun drawing your shadow in the framed glass, looking pensive, but actually fascinated by the turf wars going on between the neighborhood squirrels. I'll call you a dick, and you'll call me a bitch, and that'll just be our thing, but really, maybe if you weren't being such a dick, I wouldn't have to be such a bitch, but that's another poem. I want to talk about music, and trees, and stars, and books, and people, and the past, and sometimes I'll say, your face is pretty cool. I'm into that. I'll squeeze your bicep and say, damn, you really need to work out. And you'll fire back with something about how I'm a stupid mix of emo and hipster and edgy and basic bitch that writes terrible poetry. And then we'll laugh because we know nothing serious ever comes out of our mouths. I want to tell you that my favorite color is your eyes, and my favorite movie is the one you walked me home after, because I can still be a cheesy bitch. Ish. But this isn't a love poem. This is a reminder that we're not all the same, so why flirt like we are? Because let's face it, no one's ever getting me to shut up. And my eyes will always meet his, so you know what, Cosmo? If you really think it's all about looking up my skirt, then while you're down there, why don't you kiss my ass?
What you need to hear. 1. You matter. I know that some days you feel like a spider, a lone weaver, sewing life together on your own, and some days you only catch crap. Or worse, nothing. You go to bed wondering if your web is meant to be a coffin, if you're even meant to be a spider. But I need to tell you, wait. Wait until the morning dew. Wait until you see sunlight reflect off bulbs of water on strands you didn't even know were there. Those are the strands that connect us, that connect you to me. It's what hold us all together. We need them. We need you. So every night, look at your web and await the sunlight. 2, you have power. I know everything tells you you don't. The media, the police, the bosses, the teacher, the mirror, they all say you can't control anything. Say that the history haunting you, or the system shackled around your ankles, or the trauma noose tight around your neck should control your every step. But I need to tell you, they're wrong. You can make each moment a rebellion. And I dare you dance where you trust in advance and smile at every chance and laugh in advance. You can lift the weight of oppression by choosing connection, thwart trauma with truth-telling, shatter systems with sincerity. You can change the world. You simply have to fight. 3, trade your mirror in for a window and see the beauty we all have to offer. 4, you are not finished. Who you are now is not who you will be. You are growing in God's garden among us, and in time we all bloom. But in time we all bloom, and soon you will flourish into a flower that blooms brave, petals soft and passionate, colors vibrant. You will be so spectacular, even God stops to smell. 5, I love you. I love you. I love you. I love you. Thank you.
I carry pain in wastebaskets, but fail to take out trash. I set sorrows in a washer with no intentions of delivering the dryer. I even store grief in my dresser like an ugly shirt and pretend like it isn't there, yet still find fabrics fixed to my skin. You see, grief always finds an exit. Upon heart's highways, no matter how many roadblocks we build, it always has a detour for destination, traveling paths to drive us off edge. It's kind of like this unbearable version of Vincent van Gogh, painting portraits of personal problems that speak volumes, yet we cut an ear off from them. It's kind of like an exam that you strenuously study for, waiting, welcoming the day its test comes, but when you end up being the scantron to its pencil-sharp points, you can't help but get marked up. Can't avoid bitterness burrowing homes within hearts. Can't avoid griefs grieving who cries and shrieks like a wounded wolf of wilderness, whose wounds we wash whiskey over. Put cigar to lips to puff away pain. Find the biggest club to crash because the party of depression dancing around ribcage is about to break maximum capacity. Shattering our morals, making messes in mind as we decide to grind and grope and hope to cope with thoughts that rope around necks and takes over. Noosing us till eyes glaze over. Waking up from hangovers while grief hangs over, heads like the brightest, most judgmental chandelier, bringing eyes to tremendous tears as they peer over at partner in crime who we've committed one-night stand stick-up with, robbing each other of a quarter's worth of dignity, and it don't make sense, but remember, grief will always grab our attention, even at extreme extents, and it may feel like we're being judged, but God graciously rips gavel from grip, so he thought beating ourselves up. Stop hammering hands and heels to post that already acquired divine death, providing a counselor who can cure corruption in core. I know well the desire is to dash. Make like Lot and desert destruction with no intentions of looking back, only to grow salty to self. Devastated, downcast, that won't last, that grief needs time, that grief needs time. It won't grow to strength in seconds. It needs a strong embrace, a compassionate face to help face fractures that can't be fixed by brace, that grief will always cry for our attention when left broken behind a ribcage. Passionately pleading for help from our frail frame, asking that we do not ignore its intercessions and give it the dearest desire that it wants, is to be let out. And I pray that we all give it that deepest desire and let it out.
I am pure native at my middle, utterly lucid at the expression. Makes a spotted spectacle of my sun-baked heart. Son of sun-baked ambition with visions of bloodlines drifting from the banked shores of Atlantic tidal waves. Ended up in a land that was not free for me. with a heart that had lost its ability to be brave, after waterboarding my identity so that I could more readily identify myself as a slave, bound and senseless to a nexus of royalty and rows of chains, but I have scrubbed my soul to a failing to remember. I've shared the palpitation of my dreams from conscious breathing. What's that? Poetry of the Euphrates pitched down the archipelago of my DNA configuration. What's that? No Rosetta Stone to divulge implication, leaving blood cells dancing dainty, excess of pirouette at metaphor junction to mic stand. What is this rising anticipation on an inheritance to knowledge? Pursuing the perceived path of heritage, went on and took my black ass to college. But you see, from standing on top of this degree, sometimes it's hard to remember that slavery was never actually abolished, bruh. It was only repurposed, and I'm not trying to swing for trying to grow. Bruh, I don't want to swing for trying to know. But I've got to satisfy this thirst. Though how am I supposed to try and fly while continuously daydreaming about judicial branch swinging? Them trying to balance the scales of justice with my people's sacrificial bleeding. What's that? Lifelines rising and falling with dreams of succeeding, I know. Struggle hard, young man. Struggle long, black man. Because your heart was forged in the heart of the Congo long before they came looking for you. Long before they came looking for you, you were free. And brother, free is what you deserve to be. What's that? That's us. What's that? We've always been the struggle.
So this is a love poem I wrote for myself for like this program that I'm in. So I'm just gonna read it. I love my eyes. The way I am able to see the beauty in everything, the heaviest pain, the aching times. The aching times. I waited for an end, for a second past forever. I thought this was going to last forever. But I took control of the clock and it was my time. The pain, I let it go through the motions. I let it hurt until it can't hurt anymore. I love the way I handle pain. My healing is not soft or tender. It will never be delicate or artistic. It is the messiest thing I know, but I love the way I heal. I am a universe within, the way I parade around with my skin. I am a universe within. I hold an untamed ocean each tide. I let go stronger than the other. I rise and I fall. I am the universe in motion. I am inconsistent, always changing, never maintaining my solidarity. I love the way I flow. When I am at war with myself, I hold my peace hostage. I try to understand how I am such a contradiction, but I learned to love that about myself. I love the way I love unconditionally. It is my magic. I surrender my heart. I yield my shields, and I relinquish my guards. And when I am broken, I shape and I reshape until my heart is mine again. I jump into the unknown without thinking about the consequences. I love the way I am fearless. I give and I give until there is nothing left to give, and the emptiness makes me feel complete. I am a beautiful melody so divine. I flow through your soul like wine. I love the way I flow. And when you said I wasn't worth it, then I guess you weren't worth it, because I'm a prize in my eyes. And I'm glad you didn't see it, because my vision's a little clearer. I love my eyes.
So third place winner tonight is Aubrey Barnes. Come on down, Aubrey! And I want to ask the poets to please stay up here after they pick out their prize, so I can get a picture with all the winners. All right, and second place tonight is Zaina. All right. Is the suspense killing anyone? No? All right. First place is Larry Moore. Thanks again, everybody, for coming. Really appreciate it. And let's give another round of applause for the poets before we get a picture with them.